I'm Janet Westcott with Integrity Estate Sales. Simplest way to put it is we go into the home after the person has moved out and we sell the contents of the home, from the pots and pans to the stuff in the linen closet to the clothes they didn't want to the gardening tools or tools that they have, furniture, glassware, even that half a can of Pledge underneath the sink, we can sell it. Okay. In the gray folder, you have basically what I'm going to talk from. I wanted to do that because in case there was siblings or somebody else who couldn't attend this evening and they say, well, what did she talk about? You can just say, here, this is what she talked about, okay? And also refresh your memory. So what's the difference between an estate sale and a garage sale? Garage sale is in the garage and it's pretty much everything the people don't want anymore. The estate sale is in the house, and it's pretty much everything the person has. So a huge difference there in what's in the sale. And when does a person need an estate sale? Let's say they move to assisted living or a nursing home or independent living, or they downsize, or perhaps they pass away. That's when it's time to do an estate sale. And what kind of items sell at an estate sale? A lot of people think if you don't have antiques, you don't have an estate sale. Not true at all. Only about 2% of the people shopping are actually looking for antiques. Everybody else is looking for common, everyday, useful stuff. With the economy in Michigan, people still need sheets for their beds and pots and pans and dishes. And they may not be able to afford to go and buy it brand new. Great place to come get it at an estate sale and furnish their home, at reasonable prices. When should a family call me? The earlier, the better. Even before they start going through all mom and dad's stuff, give me a call, because I can come in and tell you, don't worry about this stuff, focus on this, this, and this, and leave everything else for me. And I tell people, leave me a mess. I want you to focus on the stuff that means something to you. The stuff that you want to make sure stays in the family. I want you to focus on getting all the personal papers out of the house. The Detroit Edison bills from the 60s that mom and dad have kept, all the canceled checks and the pay stubs from the 50s, it's all there. That's the stuff I want you to focus on, because that has their Social Security number on it, because back then they plastered Social Security numbers everywhere. Get all that stuff out. And of course, like I say, anything that you want to keep that you want to keep within the family. And also, I'll tell you to go and do what I call the touch test. Go through everything in the house and touch it and make sure, okay, do we want this, yes or no? Do we want this, yes or no? Do it in a systematic way so that you've gone through all the cupboards, and take out what you want and leave the rest there. When you go through the attic and you go through the boxes, take everything out of the box, look at it, touch it. Don't worry about putting it back in the box and making it all neat and clean for me. I don't need it to be neat and clean when I go there. I'll make it neat and clean during the setup. One of the number one questions that we always get asked is, what is the most unique thing that we found at an estate sale? Recently, one of my staff found a shoebox. Not very unique, huh? Inside the shoebox was over $18,000 in cash. Wow. Yeah, wow. And it's out there. I always advise family members and to talk to their parents. Have you hidden any cash anywhere? And a lot of the older folks, they'll hide it, and you know what? We may miss it when we go through because they hid it somewhere. So I'll recommend that if they really do feel that need to hide money, write down where it is so that their family knows. Put it with the will so that they know, check here, check here, check here, and check here, so that money doesn't accidentally get thrown out. When our company comes in to do the setup and the sale, we bring in tables and shelving units, and we get the stuff out of the cupboards and closets so that it can be displayed nicely and set it up like a cute little boutique and that, and clean up the glasses. You know those glasses that are sitting above the stove that Mom was hanging on to so she could use when the Pope came for dinner? Those glasses have been sitting there for a while, so we're going to take them down. We're going to clean them up so that we can get more money for them. Okay, we're going to take pictures, we're going to advertise, and there's always going to be, usually most houses have a closet by the front door. That becomes a family closet. And there's always something, no matter how thoroughly you go through, we're going to find personal papers, or we're going to find something, and we're going to tuck it away in that family closet for you so that you can go through it and decide whether you want to keep it or sell it, like black and white photographs. Some people go, I have no clue who these people are, I'm just going to throw them away. Don't throw them away. People will buy them and pay some pretty good money for old black and white photos. So we want you to hang on old letters and all kinds of stuff like that. People will pay money for them. Benefits of having a company do it instead of doing it yourself. One, we take the overwhelming of it out of the picture. So all you have to do is focus on Mom or Dad, getting them settled into their new place, or dealing with the loss of them and dealing with all the stuff that Terry was talking about, getting all that. You get what you want, and the rest of it you don't have to worry about. We also get between 200 and 400 people through the house each day of the sale. Our email goes out to over 7,000 people in the Metro Detroit area, and then I've got a mailing list. I send postcards. There's, I don't know, there's about maybe 70 or so people who, believe it or not, they don't have computers, and they want to know when we have sales, and those are actually some of my best customers that come in with those cards. And we do the pricing of all the items. We do the research on the items. I'm also an accredited personal property appraiser with a specialty in antiques and residential contents. And I'm the first to admit I don't know everything. So I've got my military guy, I got my pottery guy, my stamp guy. I've got all these folks that I can call in if I need, a little bit extra help and if I need their expertise. Now, what if there isn't enough stuff in the house to have a sale? Normally our sales are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's not enough stuff for a 3-day sale. We can do it in a 2-day sale or a 1-day sale. Sometimes condo associations won't allow you to have a 3-day sale. They're 1-day sale and that's it. So, we deal with that. Or if it's just not big enough, or if I'm too booked, we can do what we call a family guided sale. And that's, the family sets a sale up, we come in and we price it and we advertise and we guide them through the whole process of, if this walks in the door and somebody says this is what you need to be cautious of. If they say this, if they say, oh, your prices are too high, I say, well, we had a price by integrity. I can guarantee you they're going to tell you that I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm doing. That is music to your ears, because that means you're right on the money and they're mad because they're not going to be able to come in and steal it from you. So that is a good thing, okay? What does it cost for us to have an estate sale? I love to come and talk for free and come and advise and talk with the family, and sometimes having that outside person in there to say, okay, if you want to have the sale here, you need to have your stuff out by here because we need to get in by here, and I can be the bad person and put those deadlines on the family members to kind of get them motivated to get the stuff that they want to keep out, and so that we can keep things on track. The commission rate ranges between 35% and 45%, depending on how much work is involved in the house. If you look at some of the before and after pictures that we have up there, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff. There's the pictures that are up there. It took us over 6 months to dig through this house before we could actually have the sale. Okay, so obviously the commission's a little higher there, and check out the pictures because you will feel so good about your basement and about your closets, and you'll feel really good about that after you see that, okay? So what happens with the stuff that's left over at the end of the sale? Well, normally we sell about 90% of what's in the house, so there's not usually too much left over, even in a house packed that much. We offer a clean-out service where we can donate everything or put it to the curb, whichever the family prefers. Some families say, no, you know what, we want to go through, we want to keep some stuff, we've got some other family members that want to come through. It's whatever the family wants. It's what works for you guys. Can the family be present at the sale? Always, always welcome. Not recommended. It's like when a realtor shows a house and the family's there, you know, that feeling that's there, and people get really turned off, and you may think, oh, you know, I'm ready for this, I can handle this. One gentleman kept telling me he was so ready to have the sale over with. I kept asking him, how you doing? How's everybody doing? We are ready for this. Well, the day of the sale, he drove by and saw the line of people out there. He said he lost it. He went home. He said he laid on the couch for like 2 hours and cried. He says, now I know why she was asking us how we were doing, because it really is a hard thing, and you think you're ready. Then when you see people coming in and, you know, picking up mom and dad's stuff and carrying it away, it's very hard. So we try to, you know, keep it so it's as easy as possible for you. Advertising the sales. At all of my sales, I bring my laptop and a flat screen monitor, and while people are standing in line to pay, just like at Meijer's, they're watching commercials. They're watching commercials at my sales. They're showing pictures of what's coming up at upcoming sales, the nice items and that to get their interest. And they'll stand there for a long time. Oh, wait, you gotta wait till this. Oh, look at this. And it's kind of fun to watch them. We advertise on estatesales.net. They're the ones who they send out our emails to, like I say, about 7,000 people. And we advertise on our website, and our website is unique. Not only is it a wonderful name, iloveantiques.com, love is L-U-V, but I also have links to other estate sale companies on my site, so my customers come to my site weekly to find out what sales are going on. Okay, obviously newspapers, and we always give the neighbors flyers a day or two before the sale saying you're going to see more cars in the area on these days. This is why. There's going to be an estate sale. Come on over, and that, and you know the neighbors are going to come. They're nosy. They want to see what's going on over there. But also, sometimes if our sale starts at 8, 9, 10 in the morning, sometimes people arrive at the sale at maybe midnight, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting to get into the sale. It's just like the opening of IKEA. You know, they're camped out there. So this way, I figure when somebody's, you know, they're in their pajamas, drink their coffee, they look outside at 6 in the morning, and there's all these cars and people. My gosh, what's going on? You get in an older neighborhood, you got an old lady sees this or somebody, they're going to be calling the police. Oh my gosh, there's something going on. So this helps, you know, let them know what to expect. Okay. What's so special about us? There's a lot of companies out there. There's roughly about 130 companies out there right now doing estate sales. Okay, there's certain things that we do that we stick to, like no pre-sales. I don't allow anybody to come in and do a preview of the sale or do a pre-sale and buy anything. Everybody gets a fair shot. If you want stuff, you stand out in line, you sit out in your car, and you come in like everybody else does. Running the commercials at our sales, getting that extra exposure. We have shopping baskets at our sales. Our customers love that they can take a shopping basket and they go around and they fill it up and they bring it to us and we pack it up while they're filling up another basket. It's a lot of fun. We all have company shirts like Alicia has on back there. Nice bright royal blue so that they can see us, so that if they need help, we're there to help. If they're thinking about giving themselves a good old 5-finger discount, we're around there. They don't know, you know, when we're going to be in and out of the rooms because I have floaters and, you know, coverage throughout the house, so that helps cut down on theft. With us, there's no conflict of interest. Our customers don't like when an estate sale company are antique dealers or they have a store, because they say, you know what, they're taking all the good stuff for themselves to sell at their store, or to sell at an antique show. I'm not an antique dealer. I don't have a store. I don't want any of that. I have enough to take care of with the estate sales. Plus, I'm also in the Air Force Reserve, so between the two of those things, that keeps me pretty busy. I don't need any of that other stuff. Research. We get in there and we do the research on the items so that we can get you the best prices. And we price the stuff. Some companies charge extra to price a sale. I don't understand how you can set up the sale, run the sale, and not have pricing done. I don't get that. A number of people at the sale, our staff, we try to have one on each floor. Like I say, we've got them floating. We've got one person always at the register. A lot of times there's always one person greeting them at the door. Everybody who walks in our sales gets a hi, how are you? Kind of tells them, I know you're here, and welcoming you if you need help, but I know you're here if you're going to get into some shenanigans. How much do the other companies sell versus us? We usually sell 90% of what's in the house. A lot of other companies don't sell that much because their prices are too high. Our prices, my customers know my prices are reasonable, and they can come in and purchase at a reasonable price, and that way we sell it at full price as opposed to selling it at half price. Appraisal services. I mentioned I'm also a personal property appraiser. I can do appraisals for insurance coverage or claim, for estate tax, for charity donations, or the most fun ones are the golly gee, what's it worth? Okay. Also in your folders there is a list of our upcoming sales, and this weekend we just happen to have 2 sales, and we have a family guided sale. And when you bring that flyer to our sales for this weekend, the addresses are there. You can get 10% off your order by showing that flyer this weekend. And I'm gonna end it there, and I do encourage you to check out the pictures over there. Like I say, the before and afters will really really get you appreciating your basement. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, what is the family guided?
The family guided sale is where they set the sale up. I do the pricing and advertising and help them through the process and tell them if, this is what trouble looks like coming in the door. And so they're running their own sale. And some families, that's not going to happen. They're not emotionally able to do that. So I have to gauge that if it would work for them.
I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
If you would, in the blue folder, there's a pink sheet. If you want more info from us, if there's a question that maybe you don't want to share with the whole group, it's private or sensitive info, let us know that. If you want to be added to either one of our mailing lists, Janet can get you on that list she's talking about so you can find out when those good sales are coming up and what's going to be in those. I send out a newsletter every 2 weeks. If you want to be on that list, let me know and give me your email address, and I'll start getting you those newsletters, usually one helpful hint, one topic every 2 weeks, just to try to keep people on track and not making mistakes, that type of thing. So we're happy to take questions now. That's not an issue, and like I said, if there's something you want to discuss privately in more detail with us, please fill out the forms and hand those in so we can get in touch with you.
Yes. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
My mom lives with us.
Okay.
Some of her stuff is at our house, some of her stuff is at my brother's house, and some of her stuff is in a storage unit. So when the inevitable happens, how would you arrange that type of an
What I can do
sale?
is I can take the items on consignment and add them to another sale. Let's say there's a house that doesn't quite have enough stuff for a sale, but it's on the market, and so it's a great way to get for that house to get that 200 to 400 people through there to try to promote the sale of the house. And then we'll take that and take it on consignment. I use a different color price tag, and every different color price tag goes on a different key on the register. So we keep track of it that way. And the more stuff that's in the house, the longer they shop. The longer they shop, the more they buy. So it's actually a good thing.
I have a question for you. If you're at an estate sale and your fee for that particular estate is 35%, and some of the big ticket items did not sell, they go back to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get 35% of those big ticket items that did not sell?
Only what sells.
Okay.
Only what sells. Yep.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
All right, you had mentioned about insurance beneficiary. So someone has 3 children and they put one of the kids on as beneficiary of a life insurance policy.
Okay,
Don't recall, whatever, they're the beneficiary. So then they make out a will at a later point in time saying, okay, I want child number 1 to get X amount, I want child number 2 to get X amount, child number 3 to get the remaining of my estate. So does the child that was on the insurance policy, is that their portion of that money, or is it in addition to?
the question is, if you have a life insurance beneficiary and then in the will you have somewhat of a different plan in effect. The life insurance beneficiary is the trump card for that life insurance, okay? So if it's just one child and they were supposed to share, they're not obligated to. If it was one child and they're just supposed to get that and nothing under the will, you better tie those together when you draft your will, which you can do. This is a good example. I have a client who has 2 adult sons, but one is a special needs child who's never going to be able to manage his own money. So the parent said, we're going to put the older son, who doesn't have the mental limitation, on our life insurance and our IRAs, because we want to have those go directly to him. But in our estate plan, we're going to ask that those be calculated as of our day of death, and that then a corresponding amount go to the son who has the special needs. So there's some tax benefits for the IRA to roll over to the older son, but they want to make sure the 2 sons are treated equally. So they've left that beneficiary in place, but they thought it through and they've woven that into the estate plan that they have in their trust and their will. If nothing's said, then that beneficiary and that life insurance just travels its own path. It's separate completely from the will and trust, and whoever the beneficiary is gets that, no strings attached, no accounting for those proceeds. Okay?
And then they get the amount that's stated in the will.
Well, if the will ties that together, or however it does it. But a lot of times what I find is someone does a will, it says treat my 3 kids equally. They forget that on the beneficiary designation, they just name that one child who lives nearby, who can do things in the event of an emergency. I had actually a good friend of mine call yesterday who's the trustee of Mom's Trust, and her name is on an asset as a joint owner. And she has 5 siblings, and she's going to do the right thing and share with those siblings. But the problem is, each sibling's share that she now needs to pay them is more than $13,000. Now, she's the owner of that asset since Mom died, and in the eyes of the law, that's all her money. If she starts writing checks for $50,000 to each of her siblings, there's a gift tax. So what she's going to do now is she's going to write a $13,000 check this year, and in a few months when we'll be in a new year, she's going to write another $13,000 check. She's going to write one to her brother-in-law, not just her sister, and she's going to have, she has to, she'll give some money to her husband, and he'll write checks to her siblings and their spouses, and it's all these gyrations that we'll have to go through instead of just Mom putting it in the trust or naming all the kids or whatever was supposed to happen. So it just caused a little extra work, dislocation. Luckily, she called before she started doing this, so I could say, stop, don't write a $50,000 check to you. It'd be a nice Christmas present, but then you're going to have the issue because you're the giver of the money. So, yeah.
Terry, do
Yeah.
you find that a lot of folks have the right intentions, but they just the real world application of their intentions just doesn't match up?
Absolutely. Most people's hearts are in the right places. Life gets in the way. They get busy. They never write their estate plan. Or I see this, they wrote it when the kids were young because they were going to go on a trip and they wanted a guardian named. Now the kids are grown. We've got completely different issues about who should manage the money, what ages. They never go back and amend it and get it up to date, those types of things. And what's really sad is if something happens before they can do that. They have a stroke or they pass away prematurely, and you just know if you could have them come back and say, how do they want this done? It's not the way that it got left, but they got interrupted. And that's the problem. We don't know when we're going to get interrupted. Yeah.
One more real quick
Yeah.
question, and without going too much into it, real quickly, talk about the difference between naming like individual beneficiaries on an IRA versus the trust,
Oh.
and taking advantage of like stretch.
Excellent question. On IRAs, there's almost never a reason to name a trust as the beneficiary. Because when that trust gets the check, that's a distribution. And the IRA money is going to be taxed right then, and trusts are in the worst tax bracket. If you name a person, he or she can roll over that IRA and stretch out those payments. And like I said, if you can't avoid a tax completely, you at least want to defer it as long as possible and pay with tomorrow's dollars. So on IRAs, almost never want a trust as beneficiary. Want a person or a group of people who can then spread it out over their life expectancy and save a lot of taxes. A lot of taxes. Excellent question. Yeah.
In the case of my IRA, I predeceased my wife and she's the beneficiary, and before long she passes, both our sons are named.
Right.
Can the will also then supplement that, or is that two separate?
It's two separate things, what the beneficiary designation says and what the will says, but you, like I said, you can take account of assets passing outside of the will. So you can say, yes, I've left my son my life insurance for
What I'm saying is
$100,000.
that in the event something happens to my son B,
Mm-hmm.
about seeing that his children get it, because the way it's set up now, if son B dies, at the same time, we're in this.
Exactly, you're in the car with son B and now
then
son
gets
A.
everything, and his wife and children get nothing.
Exactly.
How do I handle that?
You can do that through
Modify.
your will or your trust by,
Okay.
by saying, okay, I understand that there's this chance. I've named son A and son B on my IRA. If for some reason son B or A predeceases me and their family is not sharing in that IRA, then I want the first amounts of money, whatever the value of the IRA was, I want that amount of
So those
money.
two documents can dovetail?
They can be coordinated. What often happens when people do it themselves is it's done in separate little installments. You meet with your estate planning attorney, you do that. You meet with your financial planner, you change the IRA. You meet with your life insurance guy, you change that. You need to have that quarterback so it's all working together. So you don't have minors getting things before they should. So you don't have grandchildren disinherited because their parent died prematurely, things like that. You can work that all together if you do the plan right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
What happens if you have 3 children, one of them is married and the other 2 are, and the one that's married, the child dies?
Okay.
So will his portion go to his wife?
No, that's an excellent question. If you don't write your in-laws into your plan, they're not going to be in there. So if you have, a child and you say if he or she passes, I want it to go to his or her children, that's not going to include your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law unless you want them included and you say that. And sometimes I've had families where they don't have grandchildren from that child. So if that child dies, they do want the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law to get that share. But you would need to say that. You would need to say that. The law does not recognize stepchildren, in-laws, people like that, which is another reason to do your estate plan. Because if those people are near and dear to your heart, you want to write them in. And the one-size-fits-all doesn't fit you in that situation. If you want to treat all your stepkids the same as your children, you better say that in a document because the law doesn't look at them that way. Good question.
Is there any value of a trust, well, I should say, of an estate that you think should have a trust? Like, if they're $500,000, they should have a trust. Is there any dollar amount that you would not think would need a trust?
I am usually not the driving force in my clients having a trust, believe it or not. I will lay out for them if there's tax advantages to be had for a trust. But beyond that, they often tell me, I want a trust and here's why. My mom had one. It was a very smooth transition when she passed away. I've seen a disaster in probate that I want to avoid. I know this family's going to fight. I want to minimize the opportunity for them to fight with each other, which a trust can do, those types of things. So it's usually not a dollar amount so much as the driving factor is a need for privacy or, you know, some other factor, like we have property in 3 different states. We don't want to probate Michigan, Florida, and California. A trust just lets you deal with everything in one place, those types of things. So usually it's actually the client that sees some advantage to the trust and says, I like that vehicle better. I want the upgrade. I want that. That's usually how those come about.
Is there a time frame when the person passes away and the executor, and they do have a trust, they have to complete the trust, you know, like disperse everything?
There's not a time limit per se, but remember this, the probate court is always the fallback. If something's not being done properly under the trust, or there's suspicion that the trustee maybe is taking money he's not entitled to, or not managing assets in good investments, the probate court is always available to hear those disputes and decide what's reasonable. You know, in this market, are trusts taking longer? Yes, because we've got real estate that's not selling, so we got families deciding, do we lease it out? Do we let somebody live there in the family? Do we sell it on land contract? Used to be you just sold it. You decided you're going to sell it in 90 days, you were done. That's not happening anymore, so that's making that administration longer. You've got a lot of times right now, assets that are at low values. You don't want the trustee selling those assets right now when they're at low ebb. Either if you can distribute them in kind, you may want to do that, or you may want to wait and see if they come back in value a little bit before you distribute them. So there's not a hard and fast rule how soon the trust has to be administered, but if there's a feeling that it's being unreasonable, if it's costing the heirs money, those types of things, there's always the probate court to fall back on as the umpire, the referee, if you will, to hear what the dispute is. Okay. Great. Well, hopefully we've answered all your questions. If not, fill out the form. Let us know what else we can help you with, and we'll be glad to contact you privately. Thanks.